Sweet. So now that we have all the cells in a row, right? All the cells in a row, a collection of cells in a single row. What do we need to do? We need to look through them and check to see what is it that they contain so that we know what we can use, right? And if the text in the cell is equal to our desired column header, which in this case is a salary, then we're going to store that in the column index, right? So it's going to be either index 1, 2, or 3, and we're storing that in the column index. However, if the cell text contains our desired value, which is software development engineer in test, we find the salary locator, get the salary, and then write it out using the console. All right, so I can see I talked a lot, and you guys probably want me to start running through the code so we can better understand it. Not a problem. Let me go ahead and put a breakpoint right here and start debugging the sucker. So again, while it's pulling up the browser, just remember the point, right? We got the table. Inside of the table, we have the rows. So we grab the collection of rows. Inside of the rows, we have cells that live. So we just need to run through every single row and through every single cell and get the values that we want. If the cell has a value of salary, then we want to know where that column lives. If the row has a value of software development engineer and test, then we want to use the column of the salary and the row of this text to get this value. You guys, hopefully, I hope you get it. All right, so for every single row in our collection of rows, right, we have 4. So I'm gonna step into this. Now, our collection of rows is 4, but if I use TR, right, it's 0. You guys see that here? TR from 0 to collection of rows.count. So when I step into this, what's going to happen is now this row only represents the very first row. And it's going to keep changing, right? With every iteration, this row is going to be the one that we're analyzing. So now that we have this row, let's get all of the cells in that row. And each of these rows has 3 cells. 1, 2, 3. Let's check it out. All cells in a row. And we got 1, which isn't right. Let me scroll back up. Add a period here. I think that was why. I think you did need the period. Step over this again. There you go. Now we got 3. So that was my mistake. You need the period to get all of the cells in a row. Okay? So now we have 3, right? Because in this row, very first one, and actually let me select that right one so that you guys know what we're talking about here. There you go. This is the one we're talking about right now. We have 3 cells. Fantastic. Now we need to go through every single cell and check them for their values. So for each cell in our collection, let's step in. This cell right now, if we look at it, is going to be the very first one, right? And that contains title. But what we care about is that the cell.text is equal to our desired column header, which in our case we want salary, right? So cell.text, see that right now it's title because we're looking at this cell right here, is equal to our salary. And in this case it's not, so the column index, which is just another variable, this column index will not be stored. It's -1 right now. So it's going to throw us problems if we try to use it. So I'm going to step over this. That's not going to be the case. And now also if the cell.text is equal to our desired value, which is software development engineer and test, we need to process it. But you guys can see that it's not, so we're not going to be processing it. So let's step over this. Column counter increases. Column counter is just the counter of the column that you are at. So we started with 1 because we were in the first column. Now we're going to go to the second column. And every time this loop increments, we're going to increase it. So we increase the column counter. And now we move on to the next cell.